The early autumn sun warmed the campus of River City University. Golden leaves slowly drifted down from tall maple trees, and students filled the wide paths between buildings. Some laughed with friends, some rushed to class, and some sat on the grass enjoying the peaceful afternoon. But near the engineering building, one girl stood completely still. Lena Chen held a small white envelope tightly in both hands. Her fingers trembled so much that the corner of the paper shook slightly in the wind. Her heart was beating so loudly it almost hurt. Inside the envelope was a confession letter. And the person she planned to confess to was standing only a few meters away. Evan Zhao, the most famous senior on campus. Tall, calm, and unbelievably handsome. Many girls secretly called him the Ice Prince because he always looked distant and rarely smiled. Lena took a deep breath. Okay, Lena, you practiced this. Just say it clearly. You can do this. She slowly walked toward him. Senior Evan, she called nervously. Evan turned around. His dark eyes landed on her face calmly. Yes. Just one word. But Lena suddenly felt her brain stop working. Oh no. He's even more handsome up close. She forced herself not to panic. I wanted to talk to you. Some nearby students noticed what was happening and quietly slowed their steps. Confessing to Evan Zhao had become something many people watched with curiosity. Most girls failed within seconds. Lena swallowed. I like you. Silence filled the space between them. The wind gently moved the branches above their heads. Lena felt like time had stopped. I've liked you since my first year, she continued, her voice shaking slightly. I know you might not know me very well, but I really wanted to tell you. She carefully held out the envelope. For me, you're someone very special. Evan looked at her quietly for a moment. Then he sighed softly. I'm sorry. 2 simple words. But they felt like a heavy stone dropping into Lena's chest. Her smile froze. Evan's voice remained polite but distant. I respect your courage, but I'm not interested in dating right now. Around them, whispers began to appear. She confessed to him. Another rejection. That guy rejects everyone. Lena felt her face grow hot. But she forced herself to nod. I understand. Her hands slowly lowered. Thank you for listening. She turned and walked away quickly. She didn't stop until she reached a quiet corner of the campus garden where no one was around. Only then did she finally sit down on a bench. Her eyes filled with tears. I knew it. A small bitter laugh escaped her lips. I knew this would happen. In the distance she could still hear faint voices of students talking. The story spread across campus quickly. For weeks people remembered the brave girl who confessed to the cold senior and was rejected instantly. Even months later Lena could still feel the embarrassment whenever someone mentioned Evan Zhao. Time passed. Lena graduated, found a normal office job, and slowly built a quiet adult life. But sometimes the memory still returned. One evening she lay on her bed staring at the ceiling of her small apartment. Her younger sister Mia sat at the desk nearby doing homework. Hey sis, Mia suddenly said. Do you remember that senior you liked in college? Lena immediately groaned. Why are you bringing that up? Mia turned around with a teasing smile. You used to talk about him every day back then. Lena covered her face with a pillow. I was stupid. She rolled onto her side and stared out the window. If I could go back to that day, I definitely wouldn't confess again. Mia laughed. You regret it that much? Yes. Lena sighed deeply. That confession ruined everything. Her mother's voice suddenly called from downstairs. Dinner is ready. Coming. Mia shouted as she ran out of the room. Lena stayed on the bed for a moment longer. She closed her eyes. I really wish I could redo that day. The next thing she heard was the loud ringing of an alarm clock. Lena groaned. 5 more minutes. But something felt strange. The room looked different. The sunlight entering through the window felt brighter. She slowly opened her eyes. Then she froze. The posters on the wall. The small desk beside the bed. The familiar bookshelf. Her heart suddenly started racing. This isn't my apartment. Her roommate Anna walked in brushing her hair. Lena, Why are you staring around like that? Did you forget we have class today? Lena looked at her in shock. Anna. Anna frowned. Yes. What year is it? Anna stared at her like she had lost her mind. Are you okay? Lena jumped out of bed and grabbed her phone. The date on the screen made her almost scream. September 12th. The exact day she confessed to Evan Zhao. Her hands trembled. I went back. She rushed to her bag and opened it. Inside was a white envelope. The confession letter. Her past self had already prepared it. Lena stared at the letter for 2 seconds. Then she ripped it in half. No. Pieces of paper fell straight into the trash can. This time I refuse. She raised her fist with determination. I will never confess again. I will avoid Evan Zhao completely. Feeling proud of her new life plan, Lena quickly left the dorm building and ran toward the campus path. Students were walking everywhere. Everything looked exactly like she remembered. Her heart beat faster. This is really happening. I actually came back. She turned a corner while thinking too deeply. And suddenly, bam! She ran straight into someone. Her books fell to the ground. Ouch! Lena quickly bent down to pick them up. I'm so sorry. Then she looked up. And instantly froze. Standing in front of her was Evan Zhao. The same tall figure. The same calm eyes. Her brain exploded. Wow! Why is he even more handsome in this life? Evan suddenly stopped moving. His expression changed slightly. Because he clearly heard a voice. But Lena's lips never moved. His face should be illegal. This is dangerous for my heart. Evan stared at her silently. Confused. Lena quickly grabbed her books and stood up. Sorry, senior. She bowed quickly and rushed away as fast as possible. Evan watched her disappear into the crowd. But the strange voice echoed again in his mind. Mission failed. I saw his face. Abort mission. Abort mission. Evan slowly frowned. For the first time in years, he looked genuinely puzzled. What was that? Far ahead on the campus road, Lena kept running without looking back. She had no idea that her thoughts were no longer private. Lena Chen ran across the campus path like someone was chasing her. Her heart was still racing from the sudden encounter. Why did I bump into him on the first day already? She finally stopped near the library entrance and bent forward, trying to catch her breath. Calm down, calm down. She placed a hand on her chest. I already avoided the confession. That's the important part. She nodded firmly to herself. Yes. This life will be different. Just thinking about the confession made her face heat up again. Never again. Inside the engineering building, Evan Zhao stood still for a long moment. Students walked past him, but he didn't move. His brows slowly furrowed. A voice. A very clear voice. But the strange part was that Lena Chen's lips had never moved. He replayed the moment in his head. Wow, why is he even more handsome in this life? Evan looked down at his own hands as if trying to understand something impossible. Then another memory echoed. His face should be illegal. Evan blinked slowly. What? Kevin Lin suddenly walked up behind him and slapped his shoulder. Hey, why are you standing here like a statue? Evan glanced at him. Nothing. Kevin looked suspicious. You've been staring at the ground for 2 minutes. Evan said nothing and started walking toward the classroom. But his thoughts remained unsettled. Meanwhile, Lena sat inside the library pretending to read a book. But she hadn't turned a page for 10 minutes. Her mind was busy reviewing her survival plan. Rule 1. Avoid Evan Zhao. Rule 2. Never be alone in places where he might appear. Rule 3. Absolutely no eye contact. Yes, she whispered quietly. Perfect. Anna suddenly dropped into the chair across from her. Why are you whispering to yourself? Lena jumped. Oh, nothing. Anna narrowed her eyes. You've been acting weird since this morning. Lena forced a smile. I just didn't sleep well. Anna leaned closer. Is this about that senior you like? Lena's eyes widened immediately. No. Her voice was louder than expected. Several students nearby turned their heads. Anna raised an eyebrow. That was suspicious. Lena quickly lowered her voice. I don't like him anymore. She said it firmly. Anna laughed. I'll believe it when I see it. At that exact moment, footsteps approached the library entrance. Evan Zhao walked inside. Several girls immediately whispered. That's him. Senior Evan. Why is he in the library today? Lena felt a strange chill run down her spine. Her instincts screamed danger. She slowly lifted her head. And immediately saw him. Oh no. The danger has entered the building. Evan suddenly stopped walking. There it was again. That voice. He slowly turned his head. His eyes landed directly on Lena. She quickly lowered her face behind her book. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Evan stared at her silently. The voice continued in his head. Why is he walking this way? Why is he coming closer? This is not part of my plan. Kevin appeared behind Evan again. Why did you suddenly stop? Evan spoke quietly. Kevin. Yeah. Walk ahead first. Kevin blinked. Why? Just go. Kevin shrugged and walked toward another table. Evan then slowly walked toward Lena's table. Every step made Lena more nervous. His coming closer. Too close. Way too close. Her brain suddenly panicked. His shoulders are so wide. Wait, why am I noticing that? Stop it, brain. Evan almost laughed. But he forced his face to stay calm. He stopped beside the table. Anna noticed him first. Oh, Senior Evan. She quickly sat up straight. Lena nearly died inside. Why is he standing next to us? Anna nudged Lena under the table. Lena, say hello. Lena slowly lowered her book. She forced a polite smile. Hello, Senior. Evan looked at her quietly. Don't stare at his face. Don't stare at his face. Why are his eyes so nice? Evan had to bite the inside of his cheek to stop himself from smiling. He spoke calmly. Did we meet earlier today? Lena's brain froze. He remembers. Abort conversation. But her mouth answered automatically. Yes, we bumped into each other. Great job, Lena. Very natural. Definitely not suspicious. Anna looked between them curiously. You two already met. Lena quickly shook her head. Just by accident. Please leave. Please leave. Please leave. Evan stood there for another moment. Then he said something unexpected. You dropped this earlier. He placed a pen on the table. Lena stared at it. She didn't even realize she had lost a pen. Oh, thank you. She quickly grabbed it. Their fingers almost touched. Her brain exploded. His hands look like they belong in a magazine. Why are his fingers so long? Evan finally turned away before he actually laughed. He walked toward Kevin's table. Kevin immediately leaned closer. What was that about? Evan sat down calmly. Nothing. Kevin frowned. You went to return a pen? Yes. Kevin looked even more confused. That pen costs like $2. Evan didn't answer. Instead, he quietly glanced across the library. Lena had already buried her face behind her book again. Did he suspect anything? No way. Stay calm. Evan rested his chin lightly on his hand. His eyes were thoughtful. Because the truth was now very clear. He could hear her thoughts. Only hers. And every single one of them was incredibly honest. For the first time in years, Evan Zhao felt something close to amusement. Across the room, Lena suddenly shivered. She looked around nervously. Why do I feel like something bad is about to happen? At the other table, Evan quietly smiled. Because he had just decided something. He was going to test this strange ability. And Lena Chen was about to have a very difficult semester. The next morning, Lena Chen walked toward campus with the seriousness of someone preparing for battle. Her backpack straps were pulled tight over her shoulders, and she held her phone in one hand like it was a map. Step 1, she whispered to herself. Avoid the engineering building. That was where Evan Zhao usually had his morning classes. So Lena had created a completely new route. Instead of the main path, she walked behind the cafeteria, past the sports field, and circled around the back of the art building. It took 10 minutes longer. But it was worth it. Yes, she said proudly. Perfect strategy. She nodded to herself. Evan Zhao will never see me again. At that exact moment, someone stepped out from the corner of the art building. Lena walked straight into him. Bump. Her brain froze. Slowly, very slowly, she looked up. And immediately regretted everything. Evan Zhao looked down at her calmly. Lena's soul nearly left her body. Why does fate hate me? Evan heard it clearly. He almost smiled. Lena quickly stepped back. Sorry, senior. She turned around and tried to escape. But Evan suddenly spoke. Lena Chen. She froze. Her brain screamed. He knows my name. She slowly turned around again. Yes, senior. Evan looked thoughtful. I didn't expect to see you here. Lena forced a laugh. Haha, me neither. Inside her mind chaos exploded. Why is he here? This building is supposed to be safe. Did he change his route too? Evan watched her quietly. The thoughts were coming so fast it was almost entertaining. His shirt looks different today. Wait. Why does it fit him so well? Lena immediately scolded herself. Focus, Lena. This man rejected you once already. Evan's eyebrow moved slightly. Rejected. Interesting. Lena quickly stepped aside. Well. I have class now. Bye, senior. She escaped before he could respond. Evan stood there for a moment. Then Kevin suddenly appeared beside him. You've been staring at that girl again. Evan started walking. Kevin followed him curiously. Seriously, what's going on with you lately? Nothing. Kevin laughed. You talked to her yesterday. You talked to her today. That's already suspicious. Evan said calmly, you're imagining things. Kevin shook his head. Nope. I know you too well. Meanwhile, Lena finally reached her classroom and collapsed into her chair. Anna looked at her. Why do you look like you just ran a marathon? Lena grabbed her water bottle. Because I almost died. Anna blinked. What? Lena sighed dramatically. I bumped into Evan Zhao again. Anna's eyes lit up. Really? Lena quickly waved her hands. No. That's not good. Anna leaned forward excitedly. That means fate is pushing you two together. Lena shook her head violently. No. Fate is trying to destroy my peaceful life. Anna laughed. You're overreacting. But Lena was serious. She pointed to the desk. I'm making a new rule. What rule? No more accidental meetings. Anna raised an eyebrow. And how exactly will you control fate? Lena paused. I will try my best. At lunchtime, Lena carefully walked toward the cafeteria. She looked left. She looked right. No Evan Zhao. Good. She entered the cafeteria feeling relieved. Safe zone, she whispered. She grabbed a tray and joined the food line. Students chatted loudly around her. Everything felt normal. Until suddenly the line in front of her moved. And someone stepped into the spot ahead. Tall. Broad shoulders. White shirt. Lena's brain stopped. No. No, no, no. This is impossible. Evan Zhao stood right in front of her. He glanced back slightly. Their eyes met. Lena immediately looked away. Don't look at his face. Don't look at his face. Don't look. Her brain betrayed her. Wow, his jawline is ridiculous. Evan almost laughed again. She continued staring at her tray. Focus on the rice. Rice is safe. But then Evan reached up to grab a drink from the shelf above. His shirt stretched slightly across his back. Lena's brain screamed. Don't look at his abs. Don't look at his abs. Don't look at his abs. 2 seconds passed. Why are they so perfect? Evan choked on his own breath. He quickly grabbed the drink and walked away before he lost control. Kevin was already sitting at a nearby table. He watched Evan arrive looking strangely amused. What happened to you? Evan sat down calmly. Nothing. Kevin narrowed his eyes. You look like you're trying not to laugh. Evan took a sip of his drink. Across the cafeteria, Lena finally received her food and rushed to the farthest table possible. She sat down alone and covered her face with both hands. This is a disaster. She groaned quietly. I can't keep running into him like this. Her brain replayed the moment again. Why are they so perfect? Lena nearly hit her head on the table. Stop thinking weird things. At the other table, Evan heard every word. He glanced across the cafeteria. Lena sat there looking extremely embarrassed for no reason. For the first time in a long time, Evan Zhao felt genuinely entertained. Kevin followed his gaze. You're definitely watching that girl. Evan stood up suddenly. I'm going to class. Kevin blinked. Your class is in 30 minutes. But Evan had already walked away. Because if he stayed any longer, he might actually start laughing out loud. And that would be very difficult to explain. For the next few days, Lena Chen became extremely careful. She studied the campus schedule like a military strategist. Morning routes, classroom locations, cafeteria timing. Everything was carefully planned. If Evan Zhao usually eats lunch at 12:10, she muttered while looking at her phone, then I will go at 11:40. Anna watched her with amusement. You look like you're planning a secret mission. Lena nodded seriously. It is a secret mission. Mission, avoid Evan Zhao. Anna laughed. You're acting like he's dangerous. Lena crossed her arms. He is dangerous. Anna tilted her head. Dangerous how? Lena froze for a second. Because the real reason sounded ridiculous. Because my brain becomes stupid when I see him. But she couldn't say that. So she simply said, just trust me. That afternoon, Lena successfully avoided him the entire day. She even felt proud while walking toward the campus bus stop. Yes, she whispered happily. Day one success. She stepped onto the bus and sat by the window. The cool air and the sound of the engine made her relax. Maybe avoiding him isn't that hard. Just as she thought that, someone stepped onto the bus. Tall, calm, familiar. Evan Zhao. Lena's brain exploded. Why is he everywhere? Evan heard the voice instantly. His lips almost curved into a smile. He looked around the bus. Then his eyes found Lena sitting by the window. She immediately turned her face toward the glass like she was suddenly fascinated by the view outside. Don't look at him. Maybe he didn't see me. Evan slowly walked down the aisle. Students quietly moved aside to let him pass. Then he stopped. Right beside Lena's seat. Her heart dropped. This seat can't possibly be empty. He sat down. Lena's brain began screaming. Why is he sitting here? There are 20 other seats. Evan calmly looked forward. The bus started moving. Lena sat stiffly like a statue. She didn't dare turn her head. His shoulder is so close. Too close. This distance is illegal. Evan almost laughed again. He looked out the window casually. But inside, he was quietly enjoying the chaos. Why does he smell so nice? Lena's brain suddenly noticed something new. Is that soap? No, some kind of clean perfume. This is dangerous. She quickly opened her bag and pretended to search for something. Evan glanced down slightly. Don't think about his shoulders. Don't think about his arms. Wait, why are his sleeves rolled up today? Lena nearly panicked. His forearms look like they belong in a fitness magazine. Evan finally coughed softly to hide his smile. Lena immediately froze. Did he hear me breathe weirdly? Act normal, Lena. Normal humans breathe. The bus stopped at the next station. Several students got off. But Evan stayed seated. Lena became more nervous. Why hasn't he gotten off yet? Where is he going? Finally Evan spoke. Do you live near Maple Street? Lena nearly jumped. Huh? She slowly turned her head. Yes. I do. Why does he know that? Evan answered calmly. I saw you get off there before. Lena's brain screamed. He remembers things about me. Her face turned slightly red. Oh, I see. They both became quiet again. The bus continued down the road. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Lena's parents were sitting at the dinner table. Her father David Chen folded the newspaper. Lena hasn't called this week. Her mother Grace Chen smiled gently. She's busy with school. David sighed. She should focus on studying, not romance. Mia rolled her eyes. Dad, you always say that. David looked serious. University is for education. Mia grinned. Not for falling in love. David shook his head. Absolutely not. Grace laughed softly. You said the same thing when you were young. David coughed awkwardly. That's different. Back on the bus, Lena finally relaxed when her stop arrived. Oh, this is my stop. She quickly stood up. Goodbye, senior. Escape successful. But just before she stepped off the bus, Evan spoke again. Lena. She turned back. Yes. Evan looked at her calmly. See you tomorrow. Lena blinked. Tomorrow? Why tomorrow? Evan simply gave a small nod. Then the bus doors closed behind her. Lena stood on the sidewalk completely confused. Why does he sound so confident that we'll meet again? The bus drove away. Inside the bus, Kevin suddenly dropped into the seat beside Evan. I knew it. Evan glanced at him. Knew what? Kevin grinned. You like that girl. Evan looked forward calmly. You're imagining things. Kevin crossed his arms. You've been following her all week. Evan didn't answer. Because technically Kevin was wrong. He wasn't following Lena. But whenever she appeared, her thoughts followed him everywhere. And for some strange reason, he didn't mind hearing them at all. Lena Chen woke up feeling strangely peaceful. For the first time in several days, she had not run into Evan Zhao yesterday after getting off the bus. She stretched lazily on her bed. Maybe fate finally gave up. Anna was already getting dressed for class. You're smiling this morning. Lena sat up and tied her hair. That means today will be a lucky day. Anna laughed. I'll remember that when something embarrassing happens. Lena ignored her and grabbed her bag. No embarrassment today. She walked out of the dorm feeling confident. The morning air was cool and fresh. Students walked across campus holding coffee and chatting. Everything felt normal. Lena entered the economics building and sat in the lecture hall. Class started quietly. For 2 full hours nothing strange happened. When the lecture ended, Lena walked out feeling proud. Yes. She whispered happily. Peaceful day. But as she walked toward the stairs, she suddenly heard several girls talking near the hallway window. Did you hear? Someone confessed to Senior Evan yesterday. Really? What happened? He rejected her immediately. The girls sighed dramatically. He's so cold. Lena stopped walking. Her chest tightened slightly. That conversation felt too familiar. In her previous life, that was exactly what people said about her. One of the girls continued talking. I heard he doesn't like any girls at all. Another one said, maybe he's just too proud. Lena quietly walked past them. Her mood had suddenly become complicated. He rejected someone again. She told herself it didn't matter. But a strange thought appeared. So he still rejects everyone. For some reason that made her feel slightly relieved. Then another thought followed. Wait. Why am I relieved? She shook her head. This has nothing to do with me. At lunchtime she went to the cafeteria again. This time she carefully checked every table before entering. No Evan Zhao. Good. She grabbed her food and sat near the window. While eating, she quietly thought about something. In her previous life, Evan always seemed distant and cold. But in this life, he had returned her pen, talked to her on the bus, and even remembered where she lived. Maybe he isn't as cold as people say. She quickly shook her head again. No. She whispered. Don't start thinking strange things. Across the cafeteria entrance, someone walked in. Evan Zhao. Kevin noticed something first. Hey. Evan looked at him. What? Kevin pointed toward the window. Your girl is there. Evan frowned slightly. She isn't my girl. Kevin grinned. Sure. Evan looked toward the window. Lena was sitting quietly, staring outside while eating. Her thoughts floated clearly into his mind again. Why is the weather so nice today? Maybe I should call Mom tonight. She worries too much. Evan blinked slightly. That was different. Usually her thoughts were chaotic and embarrassing. But now they sounded calm. Kevin noticed Evan staring. "You're definitely interested." Evan ignored him and walked toward the drink counter. But suddenly 2 male students approached Lena's table. One of them spoke loudly. "Hey, aren't you the girl who confessed to Evan Zhao last year?" Lena froze. Several nearby students looked over. The boy continued laughing. "That must have been embarrassing." The other boy smirked. "I would never confess to someone who rejects everyone." Lena's hands slowly tightened around her fork. Her face turned slightly pale. In her previous life, moments like this happened many times. The humiliation had followed her for months. Not again. Before she could respond, a calm voice suddenly spoke. "She didn't confess last year." Everyone turned. Evan Zhao stood beside the table. The 2 boys looked surprised. "Senior Evan." Evan looked at them coldly. "And even if she did, that's none of your business." The cafeteria suddenly became very quiet. The boys awkwardly stepped back. "Sorry, we were just joking." They quickly left. Lena sat there frozen. Her brain slowly restarted. Did Evan Zhao just defend me? Evan looked down at her. "Are you okay?" Lena nodded slowly. "Yes, thank you." Her mind immediately exploded with new thoughts. Why is he helping me? Did the sun rise from the west today? Evan sat down across from her. Her brain nearly crashed. Why is he sitting here again? This table is cursed. Evan calmly opened his drink. "I was already standing here." Lena blinked. "Oh." Silence filled the table. Lena nervously ate a piece of rice. Her thoughts started running again. His eyelashes are long. Wait. Why am I noticing his eyelashes? This is embarrassing. Evan quietly looked at her. For the first time, he noticed something new. Under all those chaotic thoughts, she was actually very sincere. Very honest. Kevin suddenly appeared beside the table with a big grin. Well. He looked at Lena. "So you're Lena Chen." Lena nodded awkwardly. "Yes." Kevin extended his hand. "I'm Kevin Lin. Evan's friend." Lena shook his hand politely. "Nice to meet you." Kevin looked at Evan. "You never introduce people." Evan calmly replied, "You introduced yourself." Kevin laughed. "Fair enough." Lena finished her lunch quickly. "I should go to class now." She stood up. "Thank you again for earlier." Evan nodded. "You're welcome." Lena walked away toward the cafeteria exit. But her brain continued talking. Why does he seem nicer than before? Did something change in this life? Evan watched her leave. Kevin leaned toward him. "You definitely like her." Evan stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said something unexpected. "I don't know yet." Kevin looked shocked. "That's the closest thing to a confession I've ever heard from you." Evan ignored him. But inside his mind, Lena's last thought echoed again. Maybe he isn't as cold as people say. Evan looked down at his drink thoughtfully. For the first time in a long time, someone was starting to see him differently. And strangely enough, he didn't dislike that at all. The campus felt unusually quiet that afternoon. Final exams were approaching, and most students were busy studying in the library or classrooms. Lena Chen sat at a small cafe table near the campus gate with a cup of iced tea in front of her. Her notebook was open, but she hadn't written anything for 10 minutes. Instead, she kept staring at the same page. This semester went by too fast. She sighed quietly. Even though she had planned to completely avoid Evan Zhao in this life, somehow the opposite had happened. They had run into each other countless times. And strangely, he had never been cold toward her. Actually, he had been surprisingly kind. That thought made her cheeks warm. No. She shook her head. Don't misunderstand things. Her brain immediately reminded her of the most important memory. The rejection. Even though that happened in her previous life, the feeling still existed. He rejected me once already. History will just repeat itself. She closed her notebook. I should stop thinking about him. Across campus, Kevin Lin was walking beside Evan Zhao. Kevin stretched lazily. Graduation is coming soon. Evan nodded. Yes. Kevin looked sideways at him. So when are you planning to confess? Evan stopped walking. Confess? Kevin rolled his eyes. Don't act innocent. I'm talking about Lena. Evan didn't answer immediately. Kevin crossed his arms. You follow her around campus. You defend her when people bully her. And you smile when you hear her name. Evan calmly replied, I don't follow her. Kevin snorted. Sure. Evan remained quiet for a moment. Then he said something serious. I'm waiting. Kevin blinked. Waiting for what? Evan looked toward the campus gate. For her to say something. Kevin laughed loudly. Evan Zhao, the most popular guy on campus, waiting for a confession? Evan simply walked away. Kevin shook his head. You're unbelievable. At the cafe near the gate, Lena finally packed her bag. Time to go home. She stood up and walked toward the street. But just as she reached the sidewalk, someone called her name. Lena. She froze. That voice was impossible to mistake. Slowly she turned around. Evan Zhao stood a few steps behind her. Her heart immediately started beating faster. Oh, senior. Her brain started panicking again. Why is he here? Stay calm. Act normal. Evan walked closer. I was looking for you. Her brain froze. Looking for me? She forced a small smile. Why? Evan looked at her calmly. Because there's something I want to say. Her heartbeat became even louder. For a moment neither of them spoke. Students walked past them on the sidewalk, but Lena barely noticed anything around her. Her thoughts started racing. What if he's about to reject me again? Wait. I didn't confess this time. So why would he reject me? Her brain became more nervous. Maybe he just wants to clarify something. Maybe he knows I liked him before. Evan suddenly spoke. You're thinking too loudly again. Lena blinked. What? Evan looked slightly amused. I've heard your thoughts since the first day. Her brain completely stopped. Silence. Wind moved the leaves on the nearby trees. Lena stared at him like she had just heard something impossible. My thoughts. Evan nodded. Yes. He spoke calmly. The day you bumped into me, you thought my face should be illegal. Lena's face instantly turned bright red. He continued. And in the cafeteria you tried not to look at my abs. Her soul nearly left her body. He knows that too. Evan looked at her gently. And on the bus you wondered why my sleeves were rolled up. Lena covered her face with both hands. I'm going to die. Evan laughed softly. It was the first time she had ever heard him laugh so openly. Don't worry. That was the most honest conversation anyone ever had with me. Lena slowly lowered her hands. Her face was still burning. So, you heard everything? Yes. Even the embarrassing parts? All of them. She groaned quietly. Please erase your memory. Evan shook his head. I can't. Then his expression became more serious. In your thoughts, you always believed I rejected you. Lena froze. Evan continued calmly. But the truth is, you never confessed to me before. Her eyes widened. What? Evan nodded. This is the first time we've lived this moment. Lena stared at him in shock. So the rejection was only in my previous life. Yes. Her mind slowly processed everything. Then Evan stepped slightly closer. I heard every thought you had about me. And none of them were fake. His voice became softer. You liked me sincerely. Lena's heart trembled. So this time. Evan looked directly into her eyes. I'm the one confessing first. Her brain froze again. I like you, Lena. Silence filled the street. Students continued walking past, completely unaware of the moment happening between them. Lena felt her heartbeat echo in her ears. Her mind slowly formed one thought. His confessing. Then another thought followed. Why is he even more handsome when he confesses? Evan smiled. Because he heard that too. Lena suddenly realized something. You're still hearing my thoughts right now, aren't you? Yes. She sighed in defeat. Then I guess there's no point hiding anything. She looked up at him. I like you too. Evan's smile widened slightly. At that exact moment, Kevin appeared from behind a nearby tree. I knew it. Both of them jumped. Kevin walked over proudly. I've been waiting here for 20 minutes. Lena stared at him. You were spying? Kevin shrugged. I call it emotional support. Evan shook his head. You're unbelievable. Kevin grinned. So, does this mean I can finally stop watching you two act awkward? Lena laughed for the first time. Probably. That evening Lena returned home and called her family. Mia answered immediately. Hey sis. How's university? Lena smiled. It's going well. Mia teased her. Did you finally fall in love? Lena glanced outside her window. Evan was standing near the campus gate waiting for her message. She smiled softly. Yeah. I think I did. Her phone vibrated. A message from Evan appeared. Are you thinking about me again? Lena laughed. Because even without hearing her thoughts anymore, he already knew the answer.